WLS.
When you want Chicago's classic hits, turn to 94.7 WLS. For traffic and weather info, tune in to 890 AM WLS for traffic and weather first on the fives when you need it most.
9:36. I want to remind you, when you see news happening, call the 89 WS News Tip Hotline. Help make 89 WS the most plugged-in news department in Chicago. See it, say it. The WS News Tip Hotline number is 312-236-0507. Yesterday, John, we were talking about the stabbing, the robbery at the Grill in the Alley at the Western Hotel. And there's more details coming out at how it happened. The doctor, he's a suburban oncologist. He went into the bathroom inside Chicago's Western's Grill in the Alley restaurant. He was approached by this guy, Harris, from the back. Harris announced, according to police reports, that it was a robbery. And he stabbed the doctor in the right side of his neck and face. And then, as the victim turned and started screaming for help, Harris punched him in the eye.
Harris has at least 60 arrests, has past gang ties, and 9 felony convictions dating back to the late 1970s. My guess, most of those victims were people who weren't on North Michigan Avenue. And as a result, I don't know if he's going to get many more chances for felony convictions.
Well, it's said when the doctor turned and tried to grab Harris's arms to prevent him from cutting him further, according to the prosecutor, the doctor tried to pull Harris out of the bathroom so his cries for help could be heard. It says the doctor was finally able to break free and run back into the restaurant.
Yeah.
And he also was seen leaving the restaurant. Harris was seen leaving the restaurant with blood on his hands and clothes and holding a knife. And a bartender at the restaurant chased Harris out the door and tried to stop him on the street, but Harris turned and stabbed him once in the chest. Harris was later arrested in the bathroom of the nearby Cheesecake Factory.
So this starts in a bathroom and ends in a bathroom.
Yeah,
the guy went to bathrooms for comfort or
at least in this
sense of security.
At least in this case,
there's nothing like you're in the washroom and a guy's got a knife. I mean, it's hard enough, I guess, to have I've never had a knife pulled on me, but.
And I don't know if this guy has mental problems or he's just mean. Because you do see some, he has been described as homeless, and you do see some homeless who just kind of rant and rave for no reason.
Right.
This guy seemed like he just went in, was going to do the robbery, and he was going to, stab this guy and then take the money out of his pockets?
Yeah, so he wasn't that deranged, right? If he's trying to do, if he's a deranged man, he's stabbing or trying to hurt people, that's one thing. But if you're thinking about robbing someone, then there's some method to your madness.
But why not just put the knife to somebody's neck and say, "Give me your money"? Why do you have to stab him?
Here's the thing, now. If you're going to spend more money, if you think this Oakbrook doctor or his family are going to come down to North Michigan Avenue, and I don't know.
And this guy Harris had been out on parole 8 days.
Right.
8 days.
Mm-hmm. But who's the judge? Judge Edward Harmoning ordered Harris held without bond Monday, but who was the judge that let him go the last time?
Well, it's the parole. Did he have a parole board?
Right?
It was the governor and the parole board.
Oh, yeah. Then it would have been the parole board.
And this Cook County Assistant State's Attorney Lorraine Scaduto, she said, the defendant is clearly a danger to this community.
Yeah, thanks, Lorraine.
Well,
I didn't know that.
Gee, wasn't he a danger when they let him out on parole? Did anybody think that? Jim in Lockport.
How you doing?
What's on your mind, Jim?
I used to work with that Jim Harris and his father. His father is a good guy. He comes from a good family. It's a shame.
Well, how do you know it's the same Jim Harris?
The picture looks exactly like him. I'd bet money on it.
Where did you work with him?
His dad was a laborer for bricklayers, and he worked on a job too, and he wasn't as nice as his dad. So.
Well, I don't know anything about it, but it sounds like if he had 9 felony, 60 arrests, 9 felony convictions. There may have been some drugs or something involved. That this guy, and I don't know, Jake and I can't confirm it's the same guy you know, but
I'd bet money on it. And he comes from a good family. It's a shame his family's
Dad's a hard-working, good guy, huh?
Yep.
Was he a bricklayer? Is he a bricklayer too, or was? Labor.
Yeah.
Which local?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, you worked with him, right? So were you in the same local?
Yeah, but there's different locals. Like I'm in local 74. My dad's 21. There's a bunch of labor's locals. So that one I don't know. But I just feel sorry for his family.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
For his family and for the doctor's family. Thanks, Jim, for calling.
Well, his father, if he's 56, his father's got to be
in his 70s or 80s.
Something like that?
Yeah. That's terrible.
It's just, again, 8 days on parole. It's just, and he's got a crack. We're also being told he had a crack pipe on him.
Yeah, I don't know that for a fact, but that's what we're being told. And
Marty and Joliet.
Yeah, listen, Jake. I'm a retired Chicago police officer. I listen to you guys, and I listen to this stuff every time there's a news broadcast about something happening in the Loop or north of the river. We used to have a great unit down there called the 1st District Foot Patrol, and the 18th District across the river had the same thing. Usually we were about 100 men that worked 2 shifts, days and nights. That's when the people were down there who were tourists, the people that were socialites, the people that were business people, the guys coming back and forth from the trains and bus stations going home from work. And this stuff didn't happen because our commanders did not allow it to happen. They wanted us to be out there for one reason, keep the street clean and safe. I don't see and hear that anymore. Is there such a thing as a 1st District, 2nd District, or 18th District Foot Patrol? I heard this superintendent the other day. I said, boy, what a bunch of BS this is.
Well, I've seen policemen on bicycles, and I've seen them on those little Segways.
A few months in the summer, there was a doctor. By the way, thanks for your call, Marty. There was a doctor who, from Northwestern Hospital, he was trying to walk home. He lived 4 blocks away. He was beaten. Remember those mobs? We call them flash mobs, for lack of a better term. And I interviewed him. A couple days later, the next day, I could swear there was a cop on every corner on Michigan Avenue and east of there in Streeterville. I'm not saying it was the story, my column. It was just a general story. And I would assume that now, after this thing, you're going to have double security in restrooms and any other place that you're not going to have regular security watching. I would assume that it's only smart.
Well, I would think the hotel would have their own security.
Right.
And to watch who comes in and who goes. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, public bathrooms, you can't...
Exactly.
You can't say, gee, the bathroom's only available to customers. You can't do that.
Try being a clerk saying that to somebody.
You can't do that.
You say, sir, these bathrooms are only for customers, and you're going to get in
Now, the mayor has said yesterday about this that... you know what? Yeah, you want to keep the streets safe down in Michigan Avenue. However, Michigan Avenue is no better than any other neighborhood of Chicago. And we'll play that right now. Listen to what the mayor said.
It's not about just the Magnificent Mile. It's about every part of the city having the safety that, as I've said before, I want Roseland as safe as Ravenswood. I want South Shore as safe as Sauganash, and I want Woodlawn as safe as Wildwood.
And we said yesterday that if this happened in a poor neighborhood on the west side or south side, he probably wouldn't have been charged with attempted murder. They just would have, minor charges and gone.
Would have been assault or something.
Yeah. But the mayor is right. You want all the neighborhoods to be safe.
The mayor is right. He wants all. And guess what? There's not enough cops to do that, number one. The cameras don't do it, number two. And you have people spending a lot of money down on Michigan Avenue, and these merchants provide revenue for the city for all these other programs, so they're going to get their calls answered on this one.
9:45, time for traffic on the fives with Dave Stewart.
Coming up today at 2 on Rowan Roper, is the United Center getting a new sports team?
Plus, who are these people already camping out for Black Friday?
Rowan Roper, afternoons 2 to 6, 89 WLS.
9:49, in for Bruce and Dan.
Jake Hartford, John Cass.
Talking about the guy who got stabbed, and the bigger question is, I know you say there aren't enough cops, but you have to make the effort to make the poor neighborhoods just as safe as the main street, as the main ones.
And that's unfortunately the way the news is reported, the way the system works. We unfortunately ghettoize murder so that it's almost like it's happening to other people far away in a place that most other people don't go. It is it's about separation. It's not good, but that's the situation.
Bill on the southwest side. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. You touched on the subject a little bit, but years ago, I'm a Chicago policeman, and I've worked security at the hotels in the past, especially during the late 70s and early 80s. And there was a time where the only people that were allowed in the hotel were people that belong in the hotel. If you had people like the working girls, you would kick them out because a lot of them would be hanging in the lobby of the bars, or the bums that would come in, you would tell them you can't come in. But today, it's all litigation, and they'll sue you for everything you got, and you can't really protect your properties anymore.
Bill, I remember as a young reporter, late 70s, early 80s, right on Michigan Avenue, one of the hotels was not there any longer. It's changed the name and changed its attitude. But, a bunch of sailors, right?
Right.
And girls it's right there on the 400 block of North Michigan Avenue.
The Intercontinental?
Yeah, well, whatever it was called back then. But there were, it's not the same hotel now, but back then it was sailors and girls with, let's put it this way, they looked like they were not studying ancient languages.
No, there was hotels that catered to that activity. But the other problem with Mayor Emanuel is he may want the same crime rate or less crime rate across the city, but I can tell you as a policeman, there is a really big problem with people getting back out of the jail. And it's not only with after they're convicted. You'll lock up people who are out on bond, and they're supposed to, if they're out on bond and they get locked up again, right away they're supposed to be violation of bail bond and put back in jail. Cook County prosecutors won't prosecute that because they don't want to fill up the Cook County jails. You could be out on bond and arrested 3-4 more times before your next court date, and they don't do anything about it. These are the people who are committing the same crimes every day.
So when the state and the county waste millions and billions of dollars on stuff and have pension issues that they don't take care of, there's not enough money to take care of the public safety issues. Is that what you're saying?
I have to argue with you a little bit there because if you think of the way they do blow money on other things,
right?
That the first priority should be security, and not because I'm a policeman, because I'm a father and I have 2 children. And I want to see the people in Chicago safe and able to walk the streets. But we're at a point right now where I talk to a lot of suburbanites, a lot of people from out of town. They won't go downtown anymore.
Yeah, this kind of thing, unfortunately, has a way of, just like the flash mob attacks in the summer, right? I think that cut into revenue.
So, I mean, we could spend, we spent all that money to build that jail just to sell it to the feds because we couldn't staff it. But we sure had enough money to, build that jail and pay off all those contractors overpriced, dollars to build it. And then we get ripped off by selling it.
Thanks, Bill.
I just hope there's some beautiful Italian granite and marble in that jail.
Jim in Geneva. Good morning, Jim.
I just want to say there is no parole board. There's a prison review board, but Illinois has determinate sentences, not indeterminate. You don't get 10 to 20 and then go before a parole board and hope to get out.
When did they get? When did they get rid of that board then?
Oh, years ago, years and years ago. There's a prison review board for disciplinary actions if they take away your good time or if you want to apply for a pardon and that kind of stuff. But you get a determinate sentence, and everybody knows this. So every state and every judge knows if you give someone 10 years for a certain offense, he's going to be out in 4.5 years.
Because guys like Richard Herons, who was a famous murderer back from years ago, he used to come up for parole every few years.
Right, and there's still a few of them around from way back when. Okay. But they had the option of getting a determined sentence. But you get a flat sentence now, and you do it. And you either do 50% of the time or 85% of the time. So none of these states, and before they're released, the state's attorney's notified that they're going to be released. So nobody's surprised if somebody gets a 10-year sentence and he's out in 5. Okay? But the max he's going to do is 10. If he screws up in prison and gets tickets and all that stuff, he'll do his 10, but they still got to cut him loose.
Man.
Which is why they better do something with the population, and maybe they should get rid of the well, that's another whole thing. But, nobody goes before a parole board they get cut loose. Now, there's another issue why this guy didn't get more time if he's been arrested, 30 times and
60.
Well, he had nine felonies.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's some of that stuff. That goes to sentencing.
All right, thank you,
but
Jim.
If you're out and you do another felony, you're only going to get what they can give you.
8 days. 8 days it took him, Jim. 8 days to get back in. Maybe just missed jail. I don't know.
Maybe.
8
that
days.
Poor man. That poor doctor will never be the same.
8 days and he's back. That's all it took. Unbelievable. Anyway, we've got. We're going to talk Hostess. A lot of people think Hostess and the Twinkies are going to be saved. May not be what you hear. We will talk to a bankruptcy expert who will give us the ins and outs, whether your Twinkies will be safe again. But right now, we have to break for traffic on the 5s right here in 89 WLS.
Got news? Call the 89 WLS News Tip Hotline and let us know. 312-236-0507.
John Cass, Jake Hartford, in for Bruce and Dan.
And they're in for Don and Roma.
And again, if you wish to send Don a get well wish, it's getwelldon@gmail.com. The holiday is day after tomorrow, so maybe now's the time. Send him another little pick-me-upper and say, hey, Don.
Right.
We're thinking of you on Thanksgiving.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
It would be good.
When we come back, we're going to talk Twinkies again. We have a bankruptcy attorney because it isn't just, okay, the Bakers Union are speaking to the management again. It's costing them about $1 million a day to shut down the company, so they have to come to a quick decision. So we're going to talk about how likely is it they can be saved and what happens if they get sold off. All that and more. We have a lot to do in the next hour, John.
And we also have to at least tell people what might be coming up tomorrow with respect to their Jake and John's favorite things.
We will do that next hour.